So, as a kid, I was bullied. Most severely in grade school, but still plenty in high school, just not as physically because I suddenly turned into one of the tallest in my class. I didn't react to it too well, even to the point of occasionally becoming a genuine scumbag myself in projection, something I regret to this very day. To say that I'm not over it would be an understatement. I don't think there's an aspect of my existence or psychology that isn't colored in some way by a lingering desire to somehow get back not only at all those who were cruel to me, but at the whole overriding social system that allowed it to happen in the first place, which I acknowledge is both sad and the worst possible way to deal with something like this, but whatever. Basically, planet Earth, you'd better hope I don't run out of bad movies to take this all out on. The insidious thing about bullying is, most of the time, it's inexplicable. You don't know why it's happening to you, or at least what the logic chain is behind the supposed why. Certain whys can be easily guessed at. Why pick on members of ethnic or racial minorities? Well, racism, duh. Why are gay kids, or kids who are thought to be gay, picked on? Well, lingering, arcane superstitions about homosexuality being evil or sinful. But what about everyone else? What about weirdos and freaks and dweebs? What about geeks? What about nerds? What about, well, me? Straighter than Brad Majors, whiter than Billy Quizboy's business partner? What had my crime against the standing social order been? The standard response, of course, is, because you were different. Now, is it just me, or did that ever strike anyone else as a particularly stupid sentiment? Everyone is different. Hell, I could personally attest that my bullies came in all shapes, sizes, and colors. It was a veritable rainbow coalition of torment. So I never really bought that because you were different thing, and it's been my experience that very few in similar situations did either. It's also been my experience that while we never get an answer, a lot of us know what we want the answer to be. That we were hated because we weren't just different, but somehow superior. I've come to theorize that this notion that social ostracism is actually a result of normal people's fear of some intangible supremacy of the misfit who is not merely different but better is a reactive fantasy that exists somewhere on some level in the psyche of every nerd, geek, who ever suffered just for being. For some, it's the not-so-secret driving force of their entire worldview. For others, it's perhaps a fleeting subconscious comfort that they don't even recognize. You can see ample evidence of this mindset informing much of the popular culture, particularly in the realms of sci-fi, fantasy, and anything else aimed at, well, you know. Think about the heroes of The Incredibles, forced into the shadows of normal society, not for being bad, but for being too good at stuff. Dash said it better than I can.
Our powers made us special.
Everyone's special, Dash.
Which is another way of saying no one is.
It's actually kind of a micro-variation on objectivism, come to think of it. Perhaps the ultimate modern archetype is Harry Potter, teased, neglected, outright abused by his supposedly normal family of ordinary people, only to learn that he's not merely different from others, he's better, a born prodigy at wielding godlike supernatural powers. Welcome to every nerd's ultimate fantasy. Oh, okay, second to ultimate fantasy. Okay, third. Look, it's up there, okay? It's not just that they don't understand you, it's that they're intimidated by you. And your bullies aren't just wrong, you could make them pay for it. And then, of course, there's the X-Men, a school for gifted youngsters, gifted, in this case meaning natural-born superheroes, literally referred to by science as homo superior, who've been driven out of the normal world because people fear their extraordinary powers and abilities. Immature? A reactionary empowerment fantasy we should really just get over by now? Well, maybe. After all, the oppression of nerds by normals thing kinda ends once you're out of the cesspit of high school and into the adult world, right? Or does it? Think about the way the popular culture, even today, demonizes different people of extraordinary ability, particularly extraordinary intellect or outside the mainstream artistic vision. Think of all the mad scientists, disturbed artists, or psychotic intellectuals. Think of how stupidity, simplicity, and anti-intellectualism are lionized. Think of how Bill Gates was seen as a supervillain for making billions in technology, while, say, Michael Jordan was an American hero for making billions by bouncing a ball. In fiction, highly educated so-called elitists turn out to be Hannibal Lecter. In real life, meanwhile, cannibal serial killers tend to have a vastly less refined background. Now, obviously there's some hyperbole in this. In reality, nerds aren't quite mutants, and we don't live in the world of the X-Men. But ask yourself, if it were, and we did, and you were a mutant, be honest. whose team would you really end up on? The let's be nice and work with the people who hated and tormented us team, or the let's show those bastards who the world belongs to now team? I know where I'd be. Just saying. I'm Bob, and that's the big picture.